It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Yeah, some old school here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, or my old friend Brock Lorber. And that doesn't mean I've known him a long time. Hey, Brock. Brock from Las Vegas, he had a story up on Freedom's Phoenix that I wanted to make sure we spent some time on, because this is, interesting to me. And it's also interesting, the graphic that you chose. We have, with the Napster of banking around the corner, bring out your popcorn. And then you have, like a sheriff SWAT team. Explain this to me. What's going on here?
There are a group of folks, and it comes out of the old 1970s, 1980s cypherpunk movement. A lot of folks are working on digital currencies these days, and in particularly encrypted digital currencies, where you would have, it's basically peer-to-peer banking, where your money or your worth, your wealth, whatever, is stored in encrypted locations. So you'd have wallets, or and it would have a certain balance of the digital currencies, and they can be anything from bitcoins, which are not backed by anything; they're produced by processor time, up to you can define your own currencies and say, I've got 1,000 grams of gold, and so I'm going to issue so many Ernie gold grams to this person to pay for whatever.
Okay, now this whole thing, I can understand. I read the article, and it came down pretty much like this. When you had the ability to transmit data over the internet, the geeks came in, heck, in the late 80s, and were transferring music files and so on. As time went on, it goes, years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years later, all of a sudden, something breaks loose, and you have Napster, or you get LimeWire, or you get, BitTorrent, you get, whatever, comes in, all of a sudden now we're transferring video, and the copyright wars start, and Hollywood freaks out, and all this. During undercoat of all of this has been the cream at the top that people want to get access to is the economy using the same digital transfer of information. But I'm still looking for, kind of like eGold was, or eMoney and all this other stuff, that there is some physical something that represents the value, and then how do I access it and I get to hold it and put it in my pocket? So I'm going, tell me how this is evolving and what they're actually enticing me with, that I would agree to go on and start transferring certainly anything of significant amounts of money. Why would I have any more faith in what they're doing than Bank of America?
And the answer is you should not. The whole thing is based on the idea that we should not be trusting each other like that. Certainly you can't trust Bank of America, so you shouldn't trust Ernie's gold grams until there's a network of trust built up, till Ernie has shown him as a trusted agent, and there's enough people dealing in Ernie gold grams or bitcoins or whatever it is, until there's enough people dealing in it to where you are assured liquidity of the assets that you're holding. The difference between eGold and these new ones is that eGold was a centralized place. So they had gold sitting in a locker someplace where it could be audited and say, all right, so the amount of eGold equals the amount of gold sitting in this storage. With these new digital currencies, everything is peer-to-peer. So the gold that backs up Ernie's gold grams might be in your safe, or they might be in some secured location someplace. So that even if and that's where the sheriff SWAT team graphic comes down. Even if the sheriff SWAT team comes in and takes out your computers, all they're doing is taking out resources from the cloud. All that digital currency, everything still exists on the other peers, on everybody else's computer, in their wallets. So we're not losing any information if something like that gets taken down by authorities.
So you're saying it can be in a like a gift card or something? It's encrypted on there, and I got my $50 Visa spending card thing. Is that what you're talking about?
that's a way of thinking of it. Really, it's like I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. It's like an email or a text message, a text file that got replicated over thousands of computers, and that text file would say, all right, I owe Ernie 1,600 rock gold grams, and it would be countersigned by both of us with our digital signatures, and it would be sitting on all these locations. That file itself would be encrypted, and only if we knew the address of it could the two of us pull that up.
Okay, so it's like PGP encryption. We're
absolutely.
I get it.
Absolutely, and the encryption actually ends up being the address of the file, which is really cool how it works. Then, so all we have to know is the encrypted hash of it, and we can pull that file from any of the nodes. We can connect to any node and be able to pull that up.
Okay,
but there's a lot of neat projects going on right now. There's Bitcoin, but the problem with Bitcoin is you have to have so many signers that each transaction takes about 10 minutes. Then you've got things like Ripple, which is kind of based on the whole wallet concept, where if I wanted to get money to you, if I wanted to get physical gold in your hands, I would give physical gold to somebody here, and they would give chickens to the next guy, who would give cows to the next guy who had gold and would hand it to you.
So they can settle the transaction in any way mutually agreed upon by the people that had whatever.
Absolutely. And then there's another program called Open Transactions that's in development right now that would automate that entire Ripple process. Or actually, it would piggyback on Ripple, so to automate that, to make those Bitcoin transactions instantaneous. And that, Ernie, is the key. That has just cracked the vault, because now you're opening it up where I could have a credit card that would be issued by an open transactions provider and be able to pay at the pump for gas using Bitcoins or using these digital currencies, using currencies that don't have Federal Reserve stamped on them.
Bad guys don't like that kind of freedom, you think?
They do not like that, because how can you tax that? How can you track and tax those transactions? And of course, that's kind of the point behind it.
Well, this is where I can see where this is going. Is that this is why the argument, I've talked about it before, where libertarians always make the argument that possession of anything cannot be a crime. This is why, because they're going to make not the transaction itself, because they can't control the transaction. They're going to make possession of such an email a crime. You possess a bit, banking, blah, 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 therefore you're guilty of counterfeiting, death, and destruction. This is where government, that's how they play. We got a 45-3 to the chest, so...
Absolutely, but here's the deal. Because that file is encrypted, and its location is the name of the hash, the encrypted hash, even though I've got a node here, I don't know which files are or are not on my node. So only you and I know that these files even exist, and it's absolutely indistinguishable from the rest of our hard drive for everybody else.
Hey, thanks for updating us on that and making sure it got up on Freedom's Phoenix so we can check it out, man. Hey, Brock, it's great talking to you. You bet. Talk to you later, man. Oh, people be a-coming with that freedom thing, and who doesn't want it more than anybody else? The bankers. We'll be right back.